you have exposure to all kinds of industries through the range of clients that you serve. And this has been quite an experiment for some of those heavily regulated industries, the banking sector in particular, this experiment essentially of people working from home for the first time. How are sectors like that adapting? And do you think this is going to bring about lasting change for these heavily regulated industries?
Absolutely. I think, look, for banking, it was a remarkable transition, right? Because really, literally over a weekend in March, you moved to setting up virtual processing centers, virtual call centers, pretty much on the fly. At the same time as volumes were really spiking, right? For instance, we spoke to one UK bank, and their mortgage deferral volume went up from maybe 400 in a typical day to 40,000. So really 100x spikes in volumes. But people managed that initial period very well. Then the issue came to productivity and security. And I think most banks are now pretty comfortable that their levels of productivity and security they're comfortable with them. So the issue of return to work, to be honest, I spoke with a very large bank CEO just last Thursday. And he said, it's really not a priority for me, right? Because A, I don't want to expose employees. And B, and more importantly, things are working so well. Why would I push people to get back to the office? So people have obviously essential staff, right? Maybe some staff at the branch, some people at the trading desk working from the office. And then they're thinking about like a team A, team B type concept. But I suspect will be, maybe the first quarter of next year before you see a greater than 50% return to work for banking.
Wow. So potentially huge changes when it comes to the banking sector and how they operate. This is such a tricky situation because companies are under a huge amount of pressure when it comes to revenues and profitability, given the COVID situation. At the same time, they're being forced to invest in these new setups. So what are you seeing from your clients in terms of IT spend and budgeting to invest in new IT processes that can enable them to adapt to this new environment?
Sure. So I think the entire pandemic, right, has really forced companies to think very long and hard about a couple of things. One is the industrialization of their processes. How resilient and how robust are their processes? How automated are they? Because in the long run, especially if you have a start-stop environment like this, you want to make sure you're as industrialized as possible. So that's one area of investment, and it goes towards the public cloud. It goes towards greater automation. But there's also a feeling that at the end of the day, your shop front is now only digital, right? And you have to make sure that from an experience perspective, from a data perspective, from a cybersecurity perspective, that you're doing all you can, not just for your clients, but even for your employees. And so these twin imperatives of resilience and digital experience and data have meant that tech spending really has not gone down. We've seen with banks, for instance, and insurers and healthcare companies, that for the first couple of months, they were very focused on making sure that they could actually have people working from home. Now the focus is very much on the experience piece, the data piece. So while, obviously if the economy suffers, then we will see downturns, across the board. But technology, especially enterprise technology, appears to be shielded for now, because the imperatives around just making sure your business is up and running are so dependent on technology.